What's up, everybody? Welcome to Quarter Impulse. This is our companion series to our watch-along show, Warp Factor Fiction, a chronological analysis of Star Trek on screen. You can check that out over on our Patreon. These are just kind of short bites that we want to do where we talk about aspects of the universe within Star Trek that we like, hate, or are indifferent to. Casey, with things like these little things, like we've come up with a lot of crazy stuff to talk about, but I think it's a timely fashion to kind of start talking about Picard a little bit.
Well, absolutely. It's about to wrap up its third season.
Yep.
One of the best seasons of Star Trek, period. I think we both can agree, and especially being connoisseurs and now historians. But I think it's definitely something we can both agree on. It's pretty fantastic, and it's funny to see how this show has grown, and from season one all the way up to this point.
I absolutely agree with you. It's it is, this season is not only one of the best Star Trek seasons ever, but one also just like a great season of television.
Agreed.
And that is not so much the case when you talk about seasons 1 and 2, and that's what I wanted to get into here. The drastic change between what 1 and 2 gave us and what's three is giving us. And there is a lot of connection there. There are a lot of things that happen in season 1 and season 2 play into season 3. But do you really feel like you needed season 1 and 2 when you get to this one that's clearly what we wanted as fans and critics?
Well, you're going to be confused on some characters if you don't. And I think there's a lot of growth that does happen in certain characters. 7 of 9 is very clear in that. We definitely get a lot of Raffi Massacre. Her story is phenomenal and painful. It's a beautiful tale. And this one is harder. And I think the reason this Trek is harder is because it's more character centric. So once again, kind of what Discovery did, as we will be getting into in coming months, was starting to follow Alex Kurtzman decided to start following a single character, and we follow Michael Burnham. So it's a very different from the standard Trek where you're following the ship and the crew of the ship. It becomes the crew are all secondary players, and it's the main character's focus is the individual. With Picard, it's a little different because he goes and collects a crew as he goes along in his first mission. So it's interesting to see how he does it. It's interesting to see the way they do it, but it's just not what people are used to when you think Star Trek, much less the next gen captain himself.
And I did some research going into this and finding out that when Patrick Stewart was approached to do this, his 2 rules were it cannot be, there's no uniform. I'm sorry, 3 rules. There's no uniform. There's no there's no Enterprise, and by extension of that, like, we're not doing the next gen return. And that was his rule for season 1 and 2. Clearly they did not do well because critically they were slammed. Even by the fans, there was not much joy to them, to the point where we saw at the end of season 2, as they're coming out, guess what, everybody? Everyone's coming back for this. Everyone from Next Gen, and we're getting rid of these characters. And they straight up, like, by the end of season 2, these characters that they've set up for 20 episodes, knowing you're going into a third, they're tweeting out like, yeah, I won't be back, but it was a great time.
Yeah, they were done. They were out. It was nice the way they gave those characters a lot of send off. Captain Rios gets a great move. Allison Pill gets a really cool send off. Like, I loved hers. I know you weren't a huge fan, but I kind of disagree on that. But absolutely, I think the Borg Queen stuff was fantastic. I like what they did. I enjoyed the stories they told. Were they really good? No. Were there holes? Oh yeah. Was it painful sometimes? It was tough. It was tough. But at the end of the day, it was a good tale. They were good stories for me. But this is 100% what you want in the idea of updating the Star Trek Next Gen cast into a series that fits today's mold of 10 episodes with a super deep and rich story.
Now, if I can go a different direction with that, one of the big things being Some of the big stuff that happened within season 1 and 2 that set up what we see in season 3. And it's not a direct setup. You could definitely tell they were like, let's get Next Gen back. This needs to happen. Even Patrick Stewart was like, yeah, everybody needs to come back. He's making calls. One of the big things for me was like, okay, in the first season, they're dealing very much in a data-centric plot device. Like data.
Yeah, it's another Soong-driven story. Yep.
Exactly. First of all, I don't know how Data's body still existed because didn't he blow up? But whatever.
Sailor on radiation, pretty sure.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of layers there. But like in this, what bothers me what they did in these first 2 seasons versus the third one. Okay, so they gave, and they only did it for one reason. They gave Picard a positronic body. His body's dead. The positron, and now he was dying of that syndrome that he had from Ironic syndrome from the final episode of TNG. So now they're dealing heavily like he has this, it's killing him. This is what's going to happen. He's already like kind of spent his time, but this is his last mission to, I don't know, relieve Data and let him die finally and just let him like go. Here's where this pisses me off. So now we found out in this third season, it was never Ironic. What is it? Ironic syndrome?
Ironic syndrome.
It was never that. So pointless. You know, positronic body, which could have just been something that was like an offshoot, like, hey, we switched out your body. It's cool.
You know, at this point, you get to keep him alive forever. So that's nice. Yeah. He can choose when he wants to go, if he wants to go. Plus, I like the idea that he was helping Data's daughter. In his mind, he was assisting his friend's daughter, you know, and I get that. I love that.
I know, and that's the thing. It's not that I dislike that one, but like the whole Romulan subterfuge on Starfleet, like Starfleet's just a mess, and we need to do a QI where we talk about how much Starfleet's a mess.
Oh, Starfleet being a mess is like 3 of these, man. There are some levels to it. Because, I mean, in every era, it's got problems.
We're going to do the best of both worlds version of Starfleet being a mess and just go over that. But we'll get there down the line. For this one, though, and also it sets up that he never had or that his syndrome is fixed, which he never actually had, and he passed on to Jack. But what pisses me off is you get a goodbye for Data. So as the fans, that's our fan service. Data is now dead, and then in season 3 he's back, and they fixed it so that way he's good, like he can keep going.
Because in Star Trek, no one really dies.
I'm fine with that. I'm not fighting that.
Because in Star Trek, no one really dies. We get Spock back. We literally watch Spock die.
The bridge crew never dies.
Struggle with that sadness. So yes, if Data dies, we can bring him back.
I'm fine with bringing him back, but what was the point of making us go through that to bring him back 2 seasons later, which they did not plan on?
Because it's more beautiful now.
No,
because you never expected to see it, because you thought it was over, because we said our goodbyes and it was hard goodbyes, and then all of a sudden he's back, and it's a weird mix of melancholy joy.
You defend this so hard, and I just can't do it, because then you get to that second season, and you're talking about all the things you like. Of course, Q came back, and that was amazing. And it was awesome.
Man, Q was incredible. And look, I'm going to say this straight up: you can take the first 2 episodes and the last 2 episodes of that season, and you're good.
Really? No, there's a lot of elements to it.
I know the element of the Picard dealing with his mother. The Picard getting over his past part was a little long in the tooth. They played it out a little much. It got to a point where it's like, let's just wrap this up already, please. Let's get to it. You're a 70-year-old man. Handle your business.
I don't need the motherly issues, and then finding out that the father didn't have an issue, only to keep going and find out that through it all, like he's dealing with his great grandmother or whatever, who was like one of the first astronauts to go to wherever the hell she went to. And it's like, that's the layer of family you could have dealt with this season.
Yeah.
You know, and I get it. It comes back around because And I like how they did this, especially not knowing where the third season was going. But I like how they added the elements of that season in season 2. When he goes through all of that, he realizes he can have kids, because he can, not that he is going to have kids, but he could have been a dad. Like, it would have been all right if he had known, and that was Q's gift to him. But that's set up in the first episode when was it Laris? I think
yeah, Laris. So when he and Laris, I mean, because that's all set up because he can't open himself truly to be with Laris, because he's always holding back because he thinks he's a failure or will potentially just hurt someone because he's got some bad seed. And Q gets him to just break that. Hey, that's a beautiful gift to be like, no, Jean-Luc, you've got to stop relying on this twisted memory you have of yourself and understand that you can be great and you deserve it. Yeah. And Laris is right there, man. And not to mention, she's smoking. Bro, that's one of the hottest Romulans. I don't know, between her and Commander Denatra, I think I got a thing.
A beautiful woman for sure. And I think my biggest problem with season 2 was stop using the same actors over again. Now Soji is Corey, and Soong is back, but it's Eric Soong from back in the day, and I didn't need that tie-in. I just didn't need that tie-in.
I know, and I understand, and it was something like where they maybe wanted to potentially open that up to keep them going and see if there was more there. But you're right; it almost reminded me of the Jenna Coleman in Doctor Who. Like, bro, we got Clara's story. Move on.
Yeah,
once with Soji, it was very much so. We got your story. Move on. But I didn't have anything else I wanted from that.
And the thing that really drove me nuts is they showed her in the first episode of the second season, like being a delegate, talking. She's with Alison Pill's Agnes character, and they're talking, and I'm like, that's it. That would have been fine. I would have completely appreciated that, and you could have brought her back in the third season for something. But you didn't. I wish you didn't recast it.
Yeah.
And if you're going to add a watcher to this whole mix, why cast the woman that's playing Laris in it as the watcher when you have Will Wheaton, who's a watcher? Hey, Picard, showing up, trying to help you. I'm here.
Well, that was something they did in because Q sent him to that planet, or to that plane of existence.
I know, it's so stupid. I hate it. But
she has to be there because that shows the tie-in.
Yeah, I know. Shut up. All right. So let me ask you this, though.
Shoot.
Take season 3 of Picard.
Yep.
Make that season 1 of Picard.
Okay.
You can start it off the exact same way with some throwaway lines of like, man, it was really cool when you got that positronic body to cure your whatever disease.
Neurotic syndrome, yeah.
And now you can live for the next 400 years or whatever. Just something. I know that's terrible writing, people, and I'm not saying they should have done that, but you could start the season off the exact way it is. And just like, because I think it would have worked better for Raffi's character, because this is the only time I've really liked her throughout this series. And big reason being is because she was just an annoying character.
Well, it was hard, okay? Because season 2 is hard because they went really deep on the drug abuse thing. You know what I mean? They really played up that part of her life, and I get it. I understand it, and I like that Terry Matalas and then the other showrunners and everyone there was trying to give it this edge, give it more of the conflict that humans have, and make it more relatable. Unfortunately, that is troublesome in the Starfleet world we think of with Roddenberry's creation, because we're dealing with people in Starfleet. We don't deal with people who just live on Earth and are drug abusers, that live that life.
I think you could keep the drug stance. It was more like, even when she was Picard's first officer, she was annoying. She was annoying all the way through.
Okay.
In my opinion, it's because like she was always complaining about something. She was always, which works to me if you did that in this. If you treated season 1 or season 3 as season 1, introducing her character the exact way she did. She's working for Starfleet Intelligence. Or whatever, yep. She's got a drug issue. Now you're putting it together. Maybe she was undercover once and she got into drugs and she misses her family because she was torn from them because all this. And then she's trained by Worf to get off the drugs and become a warrior. This is the most I've liked her since. And then it would have been a beautiful love story of 7 of 9, who's an officer with a problem, a chip on her shoulder, Rafi meeting, maybe falling in love.
You could play this up that way. You absolutely could. I would buy into that 100%. I do love the 7 of 9 storyline, the Fenris Rangers. I loved Hugh being back with the Borg and in one, and I like the fact that the Borg play into everything. That since the beginning, it's been the Borg. It's really cool. Ugh. So I understand the being upset, and it was a tough road to get. It's been a long road getting from there.
No, we're not doing that. We're watching that show, and we're getting into the 3rd season next month, where they get a little hippie with their music.
Yeah.
Speed up that tempo a bit.
They double time. It's a double strum, folks.
I was watching that with my wife, and like I went from season 2, the last episode, to season 3 back to back, and she goes, "What did they do to this?" She's like, "They upped it," and I'm like, "Yeah, they changed everything."
Yeah.
But yeah, so Picard for me, I did watch some episodes of the first couple of seasons, actually a few days ago, while I was just kind of watching track, and there's a lot of enjoyable things about it. It's almost like saying, okay, here's a season of Friends. You like that, right? Here, watch season 2, and it's Breaking Bad, and you're like, what? This is so much better. With an entirely different cast and everything else, and like perfect writing. Yeah. So it's kind of like, I wish this was season 1, so that way season 2 and 3 would be awesome with everyone. But
totally fair. I get it. I am opposite on that, because I can understand where it comes from. I appreciate what they did with it. And the fact that they were able to retcon things and make it all work, brilliant.
All right. Well, we agree to disagree, but I appreciate your opinion and I respect your opinion, because you know more than I do. So
not at all.
All right, guys, this is another episode of Quarter Impulse. Of course, this is the companion series to Warp Factor Fiction. Go check out our Patreon. We're going through the whole thing. We're on Enterprise season 2 right now. You can go check out those episodes this month, and next month will be season 3. But check out the Scene Snobs as well. Maybe like and subscribe. Follow us on social media, because we're everywhere and we do a lot of fun things. Wouldn't you say, Case?
All the time. A ton of them.
So go check those out. Watch our podcasts or listen wherever podcasts are, or on our YouTube channel. But I'm going to let Casey take it away. Go ahead, my friend.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much. As always, it's been a pleasure. We hope we've entertained and you've enjoyed. And check us out on Patreon and check out the entire shows as we watch along through chronological order all of Star Trek. We appreciate you. Make sure you're kind to yourself, kind to each other. Live long and prosper.